Hi guys, welcome to Thankful Thursdays with me, Cal. So this week, as you probably already noticed, we are focusing on relapse, and today specifically my question is, how do I forgive myself for relapses? So I suspect this might be quite a short video this week as I don't have a huge amount to say on the topic, and this is where this video turns into like a 15-minute video probably. But if I don't cover something, I've kind of missed part of this question somehow or whatever, then do ask and I'll try and get back to you on that. But basically where I wanted to start in terms of answering this question was in explaining to you guys that relapse is absolutely understandable and even expected in terms of recovery from your eating disorder. You know, every single one of us here at the channel have had our ups and downs, and we've relapsed many times during the recovery process. And as much as I wish for you guys that I could just flick a switch for you and that you could be well and never ever struggle again, it's not that simple, and if it was, we wouldn't be ill and we wouldn't be fighting for recovery so hard. And recovery is difficult in that sense that it can have, you know, just as many downs as it has ups, and it can be a struggle, but it's absolutely worth it at the end of the day to have, you know, a much better eating disorder free life, and I genuinely believe that that's possible for every single one of you. So I think that relapse is probably, in my perception at least, more common in early recovery. I certainly relapsed many times in the early days of my eating disorder. But it's also possible to relapse, you know, many years into recovery. And some people are very mindful of that and very aware that they're still susceptible to redeveloping an eating disorder. And some people consider themselves, once they've gone through the recovery process, to be fully recovered and feel that they couldn't ever relapse. And I kind of consider myself to be in that second group without jinxing myself in any way. But at the same time, you know, if I did relapse, then I would deal with that. But I think that it's interesting that the question that I have today is about forgiving yourself for that, because I kind of consider an eating disorder to be very much like an addiction. And I think because of that, because of the mentality people have about addictions, we can carry a lot of guilt for our illness because of people's perception of what an eating disorder is, and that it's in some way our fault or our choice. And what I think is really important in terms of forgiving yourself when you do have relapses, be that early on in your eating disorder or, you know, many years into recovery, whatever, if you relapse, that isn't your fault. You know, if you had something like, say, cancer, and you'd been in remission for 9 months and you unfortunately got cancer again, then you wouldn't be, you know, feeling guilty about that because it's an illness, it's not you. And I believe that that same thing goes with an eating disorder, but while also acknowledging that it's important that you do take, you know, responsibility for your own recovery. So if you do, you know, find it difficult to forgive yourself, if you feel guilty when you have relapses, the problem that causes is that it only makes it worse. You know, emotions like guilt can really fuel that eating disordered voice in your head. So forgiving yourself and, you know, kind of allowing the relapse but jumping back onto recovery as fast as you can is really important. And what I always said when I was, you know, struggling with the relapse recovery cycle a few years back was that as long as I learnt something from each time I relapsed, then it wasn't kind of wasted, even though I was struggling again. And, you know, things I learnt were, you know, what my triggers were, or that I needed to deal with something, or, you know, things like that. And being aware of those things and dealing with those things is what's going to stop you, is what's going to help you eventually, you know, stop relapsing into your eating disorder. Because if you don't deal with the real issues, then relapse is going to be more likely. And so, yeah, I think the most important thing absolutely is that with every relapse you try and learn something from it, you question what caused it and how you can do something about that so that you remain in control, so that you don't give the control back to your eating disorder. So I guess I'm going to leave it there. It's probably been quite short, I'm not sure. Hope you're all doing great, and I'll see you next week guys. Take care. Bye.